Every time I catch a Galvin cold, it messes up my mojo. But it isn't the cold that gets you down, it's the symptoms. And Ben and his entire playlist found that out the hard way. We get to see 3 sick aliens in the episode Side Effects, but this has got me thinking. Why did Ben's aliens get sick in the first place? And stick around to the end where we theorycraft the other 7 aliens in their own sick modes. Now, after Ben took down a thief in an epic car chase, he ends up getting locked in a mobile freezer in the trunk of a truck. That ends up giving him a cold, and his 3 alien appearances reap the consequences the most during the episode. Firstly, let's start with Wildmutt. After Ben turns into Wildmutt, we immediately get to see that his nostrils that are on the sides of his head are filled with mucus. Now, this is bad, as normally Wildmutt depends on his sense of smell to be able to see. This effectively blinds Wildmutt, and he becomes unable to see anything, becoming a virtually useless transformation in the face of Clancy the Bugman. Compared to his normal form, he is heavily handicapped, as he is not able to function normally. It gets better for Forearms though. Besides his discoloration and what seems to be very disgusting armpits, he actually seems to retain his strength. But in the scene where he is to face Clancy, the quick-witted combat specialist seems to be a lot more disoriented. Frankly speaking, I think this Forearms combat skill drops because of the sickness, as he moves from this to this. See what I mean? But this is all fear for sickness for anyone. You shouldn't be on top of your game when you're sick. But the third transformation that we see that got sick, his symptoms were very interesting. Introducing Heatblast. Heatblast, Ben's pyronite transformation, normally known for his intense flames and fire constructs, has the strangest symptoms where his fire blasts become freeze rays. This is an incredible phenomenon, and even though it isn't directly related to something like a sickness, humans have already coined a term for it, called the savant syndrome. This is defined as a rare condition in which a person with various developmental disorders have amazing ability and talent. I believe that because of the difference in alien anatomy, Heatblast's flu symptom was the savant syndrome, or what I would like to call the pyronite savant ice. This gave him a new ability, which was cryokinesis, as his flu symptom. Unlike the previous sick aliens, his doesn't serve as a handicap nor really a boost, but it creates an interesting variant of his powers, and it was what enabled Ben to clutch the victory out in the end. Now, why did the aliens get sick when Ben got sick? I mentioned a theory in my previous video of why the Omnitrix recalibrated, and I brought up the fact that the watch and Ben are linked. When Ben gets younger, the aliens get younger, and vice versa. In the same way, when Ben's physiology changes like this, when he gets a cold, the same happens to his aliens in the watch, as both Ben and the Omnitrix are still linked. But now I wonder what would happen if we saw all of the first 10 as sick aliens, and what would their symptoms be? We start with myself, the Galvin species or gray matter, who are a humanoid type of frog. And here are a few common symptoms of sick frogs. They become discolored, have their skin peel off, removing the roughness, and they become very sluggish. I would say gray matter could fall in that category. Instead of being quick and nimble, he is slow and sluggish. He still retains his genius, but he becomes pink to show that he is discolored and that his skin has shed. For a not so amphibious alien like Ripjaws, after looking at a list of sick fish symptoms, here's what I came up with. Ripjaws would be able to stay on land longer than he is in water. He would have spots on his body instead of just being discolored, and he would be swimming upside down and only upside down. Later on in Alien Force, we get to see a sick diamond head and what he looks like as he sneezes crystals. But just to add to that, we could say his crystals are a lot weaker, and he becomes yellow instead of his normal pale green colors. Stinkfly, on the other hand, would become even more deadly after getting sick. Since houseflies are known to carry some of the most deadly diseases, we could say Stinkfly would gain a new ability, where once his slime or his legs come in contact with an opponent, they would immediately become sick as well, to a point where they couldn't be able to function. But here's a twist for the final 2 aliens, which are Ghost Freak and Upgrade. Since Upgrade is a synthetic species that doesn't have any organic physiology like the other aliens, and Ghost Freak is pretty much a ghost with the same condition as Upgrade, both of these aliens would have no symptoms like the rest of the playlist, as their biology doesn't work in the same way as everyone else's. But what changes would you make to the classic Sick 10 aliens from the Ben 10 playlist? Comment down below and subscribe.